Hello, YouTube. My name is Yamakar, and I'm going to be doing a mini multiple part series on Factorio from zero to rocket launch. We're going to have a couple videos highlighting important parts here and there, showing you what's what, different setups, different designs. I'm going to be going over all the hotkeys, what you can do, what you can't do, and get you to your rocket launch. Any questions, you can always throw them in the comments, and let's just jump right into it. So first thing you want to do is click single player, unless you're playing multiplayer, but single player for me right now. We're going to do new game, and we're going to be doing a free play. You can do tutorial. It's pretty good, but in this scenario, we're going to be doing free play. I'm going to be going over the map generator and what you want to see in a map and what you don't necessarily want to see in a map. Almost every map is doable. No map is not playable, and I'm going to go over all the different buttons and what's what and go from there. So first off, you have your different types of settings. You have default, rich, marathon, death, death world, marathon, rail world, ribbon world, and island. You could try them all out. They're all different ways of playing the game, except for death world. It's just a lot of biters, as the name kind of explains. There's just a lot of aliens on the map that you got to deal with. In this scenario, I'm not going to be doing that. We're just going to go default, just to get the basics out of the way for everybody. You can choose different seeds here. It's going to regenerate the map for you. You have your different frequency, size, and richness. Richness is the amount of resources in the deposit. Size makes it bigger, deposit. And frequency just makes them pop up more often. Same for every other resource there. Map type, you could do an island, where you're literally on an island. There's nothing after the island, I'm pretty sure. Once you get past the island, there shouldn't be anything else out there. Kind of cool if you want to conquer a map, but again, we're just going to go over some of the basics here. And then you have the enemy, advanced enemy and advanced settings. Enemy, you have frequency, so it just shows how often there's colonies. Then you have size, which makes the colonies bigger. Then you can play on peaceful mode, so they won't attack you. You can make the starting area bigger. So there's lots of them, but they're farther away from you. Then you got all these settings here. These are pretty advanced. I suggest you don't touch this unless you know what you're doing. Same for evolution. Just leave evolution on. If you want to leave evolution the way it is. If you want to turn evolution off, so they're always small little biters, you can do that too. If you're new, it's a good setting to do. Then we go in advanced. You can record your map, so you can do a time lapse kind of how the map goes through. And that's with record replay information. And you can also limit the map's height and width. So it's actually not doable because you don't have enough resources in it, but you could do that. There's different settings there. You can kind of change it. They call that a ribbon world when your map is really, really narrow like this. So there's nothing up here. You just can't go up anymore. We'll close that. Recipes, you can do normal, expensive. Expensive just changes how the recipes work. Gears go from 1 copper plate to 2. It's actually really balanced, and it's a different way of playing the game if you want something spicy. Expensive, that's a marathon setting. Just makes it expensive, and then you can change the multiplier for that. There is one setting, though, I suggest everybody always change, and research queue availability. Change it to always. Make it always. This just makes it so you can set up different queues. So you can say, I want to research this, and then that, and then that, and the game will remember the queue. Otherwise, you can only do one at a time. So when it finishes, you got to think again, rinse, repeat. Pollution will leave the same as well. For this scenario, though, I actually am going to have a seed already populated. So you can import a string. And if you want the settings I'm using, I will keep that in the comments below or in the description below the video, the map exchange string. So there's a couple things you look for in a map. Number one is trees are good. You don't want to start in a desert, total desert, because if there's no trees, the pollution spreads and the biters all get mad. That's no good. Next thing you look for is oil. Oil's these pink dots. Make sure there's some oil somewhere remotely close to you. And then I always generally try and get these kind of piled up. Your first resource deposits, your iron, your stone, your copper, your coal. You don't have to. It just makes you have to run around less at the starting of the game. And then everything else, pretty much just whatever. The desert biome is okay as well. I kind of like it half grassy and half desert, and I'll show you why in a minute. And yeah, so this is the seed we're going to use. We're going to go from here, and if you want this exact seed with all our settings, you can find it below in the description. So let's jump right in. Let's go play. So this is new with 1.0. It has this beautiful rocket launch. Pretty cool, actually. We're going to leave the rocket here as a memorial for what happened. It was horrible. Factorio free play, don't die, and then you get some tips and tricks. These are actually really helpful. I do suggest if you're new, click through those. And then we'll jump right into it. So I'm going to play fairly fast. I have a little bit of time in Factorio. I think I have around just shy of 4,500 hours in Factorio. So I do play fairly quickly. So at any point, if you need to pause the video and kind of catch up again, you can feel free to do that. So first thing we want is iron. Iron is going to be the cornerstone of your factory. It kind of gets everything going. Iron and copper. Coal for fuel and iron for building. So we just right-click some trees, chop them down. You'll notice that it says +4 wood, and it shows how much you actually have, and it just goes right into inventory, which is E. Press E for that to pop up. Then we're going to click on this guy here, and we're going to put our burner mining drill on our iron. You can see how much it's actually going to mine on the right side of the screen there. It says expected resources here. So certain deposits, like 32, it's only going to pick up 32 iron. Here it'll do 7,000. Here it'll do 10,000, rinse, repeat. So we'll just go right on the edge. And what I'm going to do on this initial setup is the mining drill is going to put the iron ore directly into the furnace for starting. Then I'm going to click on this. I'm actually going to control right-click it. Nope, that's wrong. I'm actually just going to right-click it, not control. And I'm going to control click it now into my building. Control clicking means I can pull the next stack available in my inventory, and right-clicking pulled half of it. So now it is mining. We'll go over hotkeys again later. But yeah, so right-click takes half of it. Left-click takes all of it. And yeah, so that's that. We push Alt, toggle Alt to show it's inside the building. I can push Control right-click and pick up the item inside the building. So Control right-click, and it will pick up the item that's inside of the stone furnace. So then we picked up all our iron plates. Now what we're going to do is we want to build more of this. This is not enough. It's not going to get us to a rocket launch having one burner drill. So the one reason why I like the desert, which I was saying earlier, is you get these rocks in it. They're more frequent. They do happen in the grass too, but they're more frequent in the sandy type biome here. So you can hit this rock, or you can hit this and get some stone. If I hit this rock, it's going to give me 20 stone, which is good. If I mine this manually by right-clicking, I get 1 each time. So this is astronomically faster to mine this. This is going to give me 37 stone and 37 coal. And coal is really, really good to get your base kick-started really quickly. We're going to hit a couple of these rocks. We're going to pick up all the stuff. And we're going to up our base size. Right now, the smelter is still making us iron, which is great. And the iron is continuing. So by the time we get back, we're going to have more iron to build a bigger setup. So again, we press E to go in our inventory. We've got all these stone furnaces here. We're going to shift left click, and it's going to build all of them. As many as we can build with all our resources in our pocket. Or your inventory, or whatever you want to call it. Then we're going to click and drag them here, and we're going to build some more of these guys. I'm going to control right click again, pick up those iron plates, and then we're going to build some more burner mining drills. Now, one setting I do suggest everybody turn on in interface is pick up ghost item if no items are available, and I'll explain that in 2 seconds here. So this one here, pick up ghost items if no items are available. There's some pretty neat settings here, and I do suggest you kind of browse through it later when you get a little more familiar with the game. But the only thing right off the bat that you should really set and toggle is this one here. Pick ghost items if no items are available. So, go back into the game. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to push Q on this burner miner drill. So I can either go to my inventory and pick it like this, or I can hover over it and push Q. And it grabbed the building. And I just placed the buildings. But notice it stopped placing them when I ran out, because I only had 2. So I have to press Q again, and I place that. You see that little ghost there, like the Pac-Man ghost? It's going to place ghosts of the building. There's no actual building here, but it will tell me for future reference that if I want to build another building, there's one there. I'm going to right-click this again. I'm going to control-click, control-click, control-click. I'm going to right click that again and control click that there. So now we got 3 going. 3 of those guys going. Then we're going to go back over here. The ship actually has a little bit of iron plates on it. So if you wanted to mine some of these parts up, you can get a few iron plates there. It's a few. It's not a lot. Is it really worth your while? I don't know. Kind of cool, though. Something you can do. Now, I'm going to right-click half this coal out of here and left-click the entire deposit in my pocket. What I'm now going to do is I'm going to hold it. So I'm holding this actually in my hand. I'm going to push Z, whatever you want to call it. And we can click it or hold it down and drop it onto the specific building. So instead of right-click, instead of clicking in like that or right-clicking it in, we actually push Z and we drop specific pieces on top of the building. This is really good for fueling a lot of buildings at once. You go like that and drop all the coal down right there. So now I got a few of those iron plates going. We're going to go back up to our stones because we want more stone. And we're going to see that there's a lot of stone here. Now here's a 100% good tip. We want coal, so we don't really care too much about stone. We want the coal. We're going to grab our deconstruction planner here. It's on the bottom of the screen. And it gives me this little red thing. And I can hover over the item. And we're going to explain more in the series of what this actually will do later on. But we hold over this, and it shows me it's have 132 stone there. Doesn't show any coal, though. And then I just press Q, get rid of it. Same thing here. 100 stone, nothing else. 4 wood. See, now we got 137 stone, 80 wood, and 37 coal. That tells me there's a coal rock in here somewhere. We want the coal. We want the coal. Give me the coal. So I'll go over that one more time, exactly what I just did there. So I grabbed the deconstruction planner. This is really good when it's like there's a lot of trees and stuff and you're not sure where anything is. I have the deconstruction planner in my hand, which is right down here. And I'm just left clicking and dragging it across. And it's actually telling me what resources are kind of hiding there. It's not really a cheat, not an exploit. It's just a thing. It's just a thing. But we want the coal. So we're going to go grab some more coal. So again, we're getting all this coal to kind of kickstart our furnaces here. Do you need this much? If you're a speedrunner, no. If you're one of us, then yes. So again, I click into my inventory, push E, I shift left click on top of the building, and we're building stone furnaces. So give me all those stone furnaces. Beautiful. Hit a tree on our way down. Grab some more stone, because why the heck not? And we'll make some more burner mining drills. Now we're going to want to, instead of running across the entire map every single time trying to get more stone, we're going to fuel these guys first, though. Go in my inventory. Left click. Z. Holding Z on top of the building. Now, instead of having that and having to run over there, just left click, build some more of these. We're going to go to our actual coal deposit here and mine it out now. Now, this is there's a few ways you can do this. You can throw it into a chest. You can put on a belt. It's really too early to start belting because you don't have a solid supply of anything. So what I suggest is you do this. So what I did there is I got the building, then Q on top of it, and I push R and I rotate it. So what this is actually going to do is they're actually going to feed coal into each other. So he's going to mine coal, and it's going to mine coal into that one, and then mine coal into that one, and mine coal into that one. You can make it bigger too if you want. And you're like, what good does that do? It's just buildings with coal in it. I can control left click on top of the building and pull all the coal out of it. Now the coal has a burn cycle on it. So even if I take all the coal out of it, it's still powered for a bit. It's powered almost long enough to keep it going through a cycle. And even if this one runs out for a second, this guy here is still going to go. So let's control left click to take all the coal out of the building. And then we'll place them on top of this copper here. So go back in my inventory, Z. And just run the mouse over top of it. And then go back over here, control left click, and pull all the coal out of there. That's just to get our base off the ground. Again, there's a lot of different ways you can do it, but I find that's one of the more, I'm going to use the word betterer. It's clearly not a word, but I think it's better. Then we can do this here as well. There's another setup you can do. This is good for the stone, because we don't want a ton of it. And stone also can't feed into the buildings themselves. So it all goes into a chest here. Alt to toggle to show what's actually going on. This is right down there as well. And now they're all going to feed into a chest. You could make individual chests for each one, but we don't need to do that. The next big step in your factory's progression, other than keeping all these running, is power. So now we're going to get power up and running. So instead of having everything coal powered, eventually we want electric mining drills. And eventually I mean like in the next 20 minutes. You want electric mining drills. You can take your time and you can expand the setup here too. Well, one thing to know with this setup is it does pollute a lot. So you push M for map. Go to the pollution icon here. You can see that we're starting to make pollution. If these pollution clouds touch the biters, the resident aliens of the map, they will aggress on you. So something to be mindful of. Instead of making your entire map burner mining drills like this, you maybe should consider evolving your factory. So you could just burner mining drill this entire setup here, or an entire planet. But it's a lot of hand doing stuff, and we want to automate it. So we got enough of these going here. It's a good amount. And then we're going to get our power set up. So first thing you want to do is you need to figure out where your water is. There's a couple different ways of doing this. I have my own personal preference, but we're just going to do it the easy way for now. I will go over the one and only ratio you'll ever hear on this guide series, and it's going to be for power. I don't like to steal the ideas of what you can build and what setups you can do, but I will kind of show you different setups, but I won't tell you how to do stuff because that's no fun. I think a lot of the self-discovery and learning on your own is fun. That's half the game there. So again, Z on top of these, and we place on top of the building, and then control left click. Now we're going to do power. So we have our offshore pump. You need three things for power. You need your boiler, you need your steam engine, and you need your water. And we're going to make some underground pipes, and I'll show you why. So our water is here. Well, we can look at the map. We have water right here. We have water here. We have water here. We have whatever. There's a little bit of water around the map. This actually might be closer. These puddles will never run out. So you can pull water from forever, have 1,000 different things pulling the water out, use 1,000,000 water a second. You'll never run out of water. The water just doesn't run out. It's not a thing in this game. There's a lot of things in this game. This is not one of them. So we put the pump right there. This is going to give me water. This gives me 1,200 water a second, it says on the right side. Right now it's not doing anything because it's not connected. It's just nothing to fill up. Now, you're like, what is he just doing right here? I'm actually grabbing underground pipes in my hand. So we're going to craft with underground pipes. And instead of making my power on top of the water, because it's a little far away from everything else, we're going to run the water towards our main base. When I grabbed the pipe here and I placed it down, I just held the button down. So I just held left click. I didn't space it on my own. You can single click. But if you hold it down, it will max space it for you on available spaces. So we do that. Now we have a boiler. With the boiler, well, actually, we'll put a power right here underneath this beautiful, beautiful spaceship. Spaceship has ammo in it. Cool. Give me the ammo. So now we have our boiler here. Hold on. I'm going to make 2 belts just for 2 seconds. Just need to make sure I have just enough space. We don't have enough space. We'll do this instead. Just like that. Okay. We'll explain why I did that in a second. So we have our boiler with our water input coming on this side, and the water can carry through. So you could have your boilers going connected like this, and the water will go through. So it makes the water into steam, and the steam goes into steam engine. Like that. And now it's flashing. It doesn't have power. It doesn't have power. This doesn't have fuel. This doesn't have power. And it still says it doesn't have power. Even though it's working, you can see the steam pollution coming out of here, and it's flashing. But it says it doesn't have power because it's not connected to the power grid. So when you set up the first one, it's kind of weird because there is no power grid. But as soon as you put a power line there, it now has a power grid. You click on the power line to show electrical info. We're not using any power. and we produce 960 kilowatts. So this guy here produces 960 kilowatts. Something like that. Cool. We can place some more down. Now, the only ratio I'm going to go over here for you is 1 pump, 20 boilers, 40 steam engines. So that's 1, 20, 40. Why that's important is because if you do not have enough water coming into these buildings, they won't make steam. So half of them won't work. And it's 20 boilers to 40 steam engines, or 1 to 2. But that's the connection for all the way down. So 1, 20, 40. That's the only ratio I'll ever go over in this video, these video series, because I feel like that's very important. It's just annoying. It's not really... Not much you can play with that. There's not many ways around that. Not many ways to manipulate that. That's just kind of is what it is. It's an early recipe. That's just kind of how it works. Okay, cool. So now we have power. Power is doing power things. Now we want to build science lab. You're like, why do you want to do that? So we're going to press T to start new research. We are right now building everything by hand. We don't want to do that. We want to eventually get this scroll down here. This beautiful rocket. Rocket, it's technically the end of the game, but it's kind of like the beginning to the mega basing, because after that you can do all these techs that just go forever and ever and ever. But for this scenario, we are just going to go to a rocket launch, and that's what we're going to call it. I feel like you should have learned enough from this tutorial series on after I've launched a rocket that you should be able to easily make your own mega base from there. So first we're going to do automation. Automation is nice because it gives you the assembler machines, and we can set up automatic crafting. Then I'm going to make logistics because it gives you underground belts, which are really nice. You can make some more designs with that. Then we'll do steel because why the heck not? Steel kind of is a gateway to other things, and it's kind of a blocking recipe. So you need to learn this and know how to make this material, which is like the first advanced material before you can make other stuff. Then after that, depending on what your biter settings are, you might not do this. You might do turrets instead. But our biters are pretty low, so we'll do this. Then we'll do turrets, because why not? And then we'll do optics, because, again, it's another gateway thing here. It just needs to get done. It's really cheap, only 10 science. It takes 15 seconds. And then walls, I guess, too. Why not? Cool. Okay. So now none of these are working. We're going to grab this. We're going to power them all up again. So we're just kind of jiggling our cursor over that. We're now building our first lab. Your first science has to be handcrafted. There's no way to automate it because there's nothing to automate. Then we control left click, pull all the coal out of there, and then we put all the coal back in here too. So now we have that. We have some copper. We have some iron plates in our inventory. We're handcrafting some science. We built our first lab as well. Right click. I'm just going to click big chunks of coal into that. So now we got the lab. And we're making science. We're going to put the lab, because the lab needs power. So we're going to bring the lab over to our power lines. You can pick this up after you place it, so it's not like set, and make sure it's in the perfect spot. So you can put it wherever you want, set it up, then move it around later on if that's you so desire to do that. So now we have sciencing. Now there's another way you can place the science in the lab, as opposed to just dragging it into there. You can actually control left click, and it will grab whatever is available in your inventory to go into that specific building. To a point. If I had 20,000 science packs in my inventory, it would not place 20,000 science packs in there. So you just control clicking on any of these tiles, and it will drag it into there. So control left click. Goes right to the building. Easy. Cool. Okay, so now we're building that. We have enough for automation, and we're going to put some more fuel into these guys. And these are kind of setting us up so we'll be ready to start automating because we have so much iron plates already. And again, same thing here. Control left click. You could drag it on, but it's a lot of work, and why make more work for yourself? Chop some more trees down because they're in the way, and we're going to eventually be building in this area. Grab some more coal. Chop some more trees. Trees are needed for fuel, but they're also needed for power lines at the very beginning until you can make the more advanced power lines. So I suggest to you, if you're doing nothing, chop some trees down. They will be in my way here later on. We're going to want to build in this area, so So our science is teching. We're finishing up there. We have quite a bit more science in my inventory. I can build 227 available. So if I wanted to, you can actually show how many available with your current resources in your pocket to make. We just finished. You notice a new recipe just popped up right there as we finish that. You can also look in the bottom left, and it shows you what you're handcrafting. So we're making a few science packs right now. We're finishing up, and then we're going to make some inserters. You can make this bigger or smaller. We'll leave it like that. But we want some assembler machines and some inserters and some chests. So we're going to actually shift left click to cancel an item. We don't need that many. We have other things to do. We're going to get that stuff automated in a minute anyways. So shift left click on this side here and it will cancel. If you shift right click, it will build, or shift left click, sorry, it'll build as many as it possibly can. We don't want that. There's a couple of pros and cons to just single clicking or shift left clicking. So if you shift left click, you notice it's trying to build 137 of these first, then it's going to make the 8 of those or whatever. Or shift left click again. If you were just to click individually, it will build them individually. So if you, again, you shift left click and look, it's going to build 130 of those first, then 199 of those, then 130, then 130. You might want them before all that's finished because that'll take some time to do that. So if you just single click, it'll build them immediately and you'd have to click 120 times to do that, but it's just the idea of what's going on there. It's explaining how that works. Okay, so now we have assembler machines. We've got power to them. The power grid is that little blue square underneath it. And the assembler machine, you click on it and you're like, okay. Now it's a bunch of different things. First thing we want is belts. Belts will get us moving. Get it? So you got the belts, and it says it needs iron plates and it also needs iron gear wheels. We're going to shift left click into here. Or, sorry, control left click. A lot of different hotkeys in my head. Control left click, and it put 100 plates in there, but it does not have any gears. So it's not building gears. So this building here, we're going to make gears. And control left click, building gears. And this will build until it has no plates left. Same thing there. What we're going to do here is we're going to grab a inserter, and we're going to tell this building to put them in there. And look at that. The gears are going. So he's grabbing the gears from here, putting it to this building, and this building is now full. So he's not going to automately, that's the word of the day, move the gears into here because the output is full right now. If you manually put them here, it will use them all. But if you don't manually do it, automation says that it can only have so many at a time working. So it stops. So what you do for that is you have an output. Easy. So now it's going into a chest. Cool. But what we really want is actual automation. We're going to grab these belts. We're going to grab this chest. And we're going to grab a power line. Put that right there. And if you control left click, it's going to put everything in there. Because there's nothing selected for this wooden chest. It'll take anything. So we actually just want this. So we shift left click and it just puts those in there. But now we got this pesky stone on the belt. You're like, oh, what do I do with that? I could remove the belts. That's one way of doing it. The other way of doing it is to press F on top of it. And it picks it up and puts it into your inventory. So now we're going to press Q, grab that inserter, put the inserter there, put the inserter there. And now it's all automated. Look at that. Beautiful. So when this building runs out, it will grab the plates off the belt and put them into there. And now we're making those. Cool. So now we're making belts. Step number 1 for automation. Next step would probably be getting this working. Because right now we have all the setup, but it's not doing anything because we're spending time over there. So what we want to do is make this set and forget. So we take everything out of there. Press Z, drop all the items on top of it. Control left click, pick all that out again. Z, same thing. Might actually do it like that instead this time. So we're control right clicking, dropping all the items back on the base or the building. Build some more assemblers because assemblers are going to power our life. Grab those. Easy, easy, easy. And make some more stuff. So this tutorial, we're going to go all the way up until launch your rocket. It's going to take a bit of time. It's not a super fast process. It's kind of half the game. Launching a rocket. Science is sciencing. I could go a bit faster, but I don't want to make this a speed run playthrough. I want to make it followable, so that we try. So now we're going to place these mining drills down. They're obviously a little different than that. They have this like green zone around them. And that green zone is what they mine up. If you place them like this, they will mine up this whole square. But they kind of overlapping fields of fire, if you would. And the reason why you might want to do it like this as opposed to like this is because you need that out sooner rather than later. Not everyone's deposit is going to be this big. There's a pretty big chunk of iron ore on the ground. Not everyone's going to be that big. So if you place them on top of each other, they do have 45,000, 53,000, 57, 82,000. They have quite a bit going on there. It's going to take them a bit of time to eat all that up, if you would. So we place them on top of each other. That's why you see people do it like that. You can do it like this as well, especially if your amount of iron ore is low on the deposit. But we'll go like this. Now you're like, again, I just did the exact same thing. I control, or I press Q on the building, so I want a small electric bulb. And you can click and hold, and it'll place it down. At the maximum interval the line can possibly be. And now we have our mining drills going. Press R to rotate. And now we have these coming here. Now I'm going to do a couple different things here. We're going to set this up right away to automate. And I'm going to place this like that. There's many, many, many different ways of setting this up. Are some better than others? I like to think so. But for this setup, we're going to do it like this. Got our inserters there. Inserters doing inserter things. Press R to rotate. My R is broken on my keyboard, apparently. Place our power lines down like that. And now they are grabbing the iron ore. But they don't have fuel. There's a couple different options here you can do. You can make long inserters. Or you can put the fuel on the backside. Or you can manually do it. So you get the fuel come like this. Long inserters will grab off of this line. Or you can grab the back line like that. Or many different ways of setting it up. For this purpose, I'm actually going to put it onto this line here as well. Many people who watch me play on Twitch, who see me play quite a bit, know that I actually don't do this setup a lot. But I think it's a really good starting setup. And also shows kind of how belt manipulation works. Belt manipulation is kind of an important feature in this game. Knowing how to make the belts work for you, if you would. And we'll grab some power lines. Click and drag. And there we go. So now we have coal automated. Just one little miner drill, though. We'll make some more. More is always better. And hover over and drop Z on top of that. But now we have a problem. The coal, it's coming on this top side here. If it comes, it's going to hit, and it's going to go right up against that. What you actually want to do with this is make it like that. So it's forced to stay on that side of the belt. So we all know if you drop it like that, put a building like this, that you can fill the entire belt like that. So this entire belt will be filled eventually. But if you make it so it's forced to side load on the belt, you can put two things in the same line. Easy. Beautiful. Instead of picking up the item as well, you can just place on top of it again to make it work. And then we grab our iron plates. And now, instead of having a chest to load it, we have it actually automated. It is actually full-fledged automated right now. So now we have belts automated. Cool. Full-fledged belt automation setup here. But now we want to actually make the science automated. So science needs two things. It needs iron gears and it needs copper. So I'm going to shift right click on this building. And you see it gets this little like a yellow box around it. And if I hover over it, this building gets a yellow box I'm highlight over. But then you see this green box over that. I'm actually copy pasting. So it copied this building's item. I can do the same thing with this one. Shift right click, shift left click. Shift right click, shift left click. And I can change the design of the building. That's really good when you set up a lot of buildings at once. It'll save you a lot of time. And we'll make some more inserters. It ghost places them down again. So now we have gears. Gears is another thing we need automated. Is that on there? Gears are needed for science. But we don't have copper automated yet. So we're going to do the same thing we did with the iron. Just maybe not on top of it, because that would make things messy. Although I like to kind of make it messy sometimes. In Factorio, it's more fun. You can make it super organized, but mouse scroll wheel to zoom in and out. I'm sure you figured that out by now, but if you didn't, now you know. Chop some more trees down. I told you they're going to get in the way. And now we're going to use some splitters and undergrounds. And we're just going to handcraft those. So we got more coal coming in. Grab all that extra iron. We need some more belts here. We're a little low on belts in our inventory. So I'm going to grab those belts. Those guys are working beautifully. Maybe place another power line or two. And press some Z on top of there again. Easy, easy. Okay. So now we have our coal area here. Or our copper area. I guess it's coal too. I'm looking at the coal, talking about the copper. The R to rotate. And we're going to do the exact same thing we did with the iron up top. Now I'm going to show you the first usage of blueprints in Factorio. Now, our blueprints are going to be handcrafted. We don't have bots yet, so you got to do it yourself. We should probably do this as well. Put some fuel in there. Easy. Okay. So what you're going to do is you're going to push Control C. It's going to put this little icon on your hand. It's actually the same as this button here too. But Control C, Control C, Control V. See what we're getting at here. I'm going to highlight over this. It's like, whoa, all of a sudden it just has this whole thing in my hand. It just copied exactly that. But we said that's a pretty decent setup. We want that setup for this here. We want this for our copper. Right, because it'll work. It almost works. This belt here is backwards. And instead of actually placing it down, place a shadow of it. If you had bots, they would build this for you. And we'll get into that later on. But for now, we don't have bots, so we're going to go like that. Remove that. Just right-click to remove that. Put that there. So now we have our copper. Like that. And we'll grab a couple mining drills. If we push Q on top of the deposit, it will grab a miner for you. And then it shows us exactly where the setup was. So if you make a really complicated setup, this is really, really nice for that. Because it will just automatically craft that for you. Underground belt, which just goes underground. Has a little gap there. So you can see how far it goes. So we place it down, and then you have the other side. You can actually see how far it goes. If you click and hold it, it'll go to the maximum distance again. Inside and outside. Like that. Beautiful. Beautiful. Place some more inserters down. So now we have copper automated. It's not fully set up, mostly set up, but it's set up enough that if we walk away and come back tomorrow, we remember what we had set up. So copper automated, coal automated, and copper plates automated, the same as iron plates. And then we're going to grab these guys, run them over to here. And now we have the two things we need for science. We're going to put an assembler right here. This assembler is going to make red science for us. And it's going to grab long and short like that. It's going to go there. Now remember this lab. This lab was okay where it was for when it worked, but we don't need it there anymore. So we're going to relocate the lab. I'm going to put it over here. And the lab's going to do the exact same thing. It's also going to pull off the belt. Everybody's going to grab off the belts. We don't like it right there. We're going to push it over a tiny bit more. Beautiful. Now we actually just automated science. So we place some more buildings on. You just click and hold it if you have them available. And you can shift right click, shift left click, and it copies a building. And then you're kind of confused how to set it up. You can control C, and it copies it. And then right click to remove the ghosts if you don't like it. And then we just click on top of the item. If we have it, it will use it. Now look at that. Feel like more labs because we're going to make a lot more science than we can use. Our power, though, is not automated. So it's almost automated. Go like this, grab this coal here. And I'm going to show you one more thing before we wrap up the first of a multiple part series on launching a rocket in Factorio. 1.0 edition. That's kind of crazy. So we just kind of kickstart that again because it ran out of fuel. We're going to go over splitters for a second. You can click on the splitter. Right now it's just a 1-to-1 ratio. It's going to go half there, half there, half there, half there. It's going to rinse, repeat. But if you click on it, it has this like screen that pops up. So you do input priority. So if you have multiple lines, you can move this too. If you have multiple lines coming in, it's going to say you need to grab this line first. So if these both have stuff coming on it, each line's full, it will grab off of this side first. But that's not how we want it to work here. We actually want output priority. So this side powers this side, which you can see one is more important than the other. If this side stops working, this side stops working because the inserter stopped working. If this side stops working, this will keep going. So this one needs to go at all times. This one is secondary. So we got our priority side, Control C again. Priority side here, and our not so much priority side. So this needs to always work, because if this doesn't work, then this doesn't work. Now if this works and this isn't working, then it actually doesn't work. So we need you to work always. So that's working for us. Good. These guys are all flashing on me. They're not working. And look how much we've even extra here. We're not even using it all. We made so much, we're not even using it all. But yeah, we're going to try and keep these videos to around 40 minutes. So we're going to stop there. And then the next video, we're going to automate green science. So this is the basics, getting your factory up and running, getting all the way up until your first science. And we automated it. Kind of clean. Looks okay. The seed description, the seed, which is the exact same map as us, and all the settings will be in the bottom of the video description. And we'll stop there on the end of, in the middle of steel processing with their science automated. So hopefully you enjoyed that. If you enjoyed that, feel free to come back and watch another video. Until then, though, this is Yamakar, and I'll hopefully see you guys in the next video as we get to the next automation of science. Ciao for now.